Hello, everybody. So, my name, if you do not know me, is Jamie. I am the Intuitive Lifestyle on TikTok and on Instagram. And I have a very special guest with me today. This is Eddie Stone. He is the CEO of Touchstone Essentials and the developer and creator of the famous Pure Body Extra Zeolite, who has had such a significant impact on my life, and I want to say hundreds of thousands, probably millions of other families. So I wanted to bring Eddie on and talk about his products today. And after, please stay tuned because we're also going to talk about his new product, which is fulvic acid. So briefly, I just wanted to, before I hand it over to you, Eddie, I wanted to tell everybody my story with using the detox pack, which is Pure Body Extra Zeolite and the gut drops. So I came across your products because my toddler had a speech delay. She was supposed to be saying 200 words. She was only saying 2 words. And we had went to the pediatrician and they had, told us this information. And I knew, as well as they told me, what was next. And that would have been an evaluation for autism. So I am a professional intuitive. My path has shifted since using this detox because of the impact it's made on my life. And because I am an influencer, I'm able to share that with many, many other people and families. And Touchstone is one of the only collaborations I actually do on TikTok. And trust me, I get emails every single day from companies who would like me to talk about their products, but I don't because they're not in alignment. So I had known that there was something that wasn't right. I trusted in my intuition. I came across Eddie's product, Pure Body Extra, Touchstone Essentials, Pure Body Extra. And wasn't, I was like, well, whatever. We don't have anything to lose, right? So we're going to try this. And my husband and I tried it first because naturally I'm afraid to give my child something that I don't know how it's going to react, or work. So anyways, I remember my husband, and I think we were like, about a week in, and he said to me, I think I'm getting smarter. And me personally, is I had struggled with brain fog for so long that I begun to just tell myself, like, maybe you're just not that smart. And it's really sad. And so I would have this brain fog where I couldn't pull the words that I would like to pull or say the words that I wanted to say. That went away. My energy increased tenfold. I wasn't taking 2 naps a day any longer. It was like I got a new lease on life. And also I didn't have any pain with my cycles anymore. And as women, we're made to believe that that is a normal thing, and being diagnosed with endometriosis and PCOS and things like that. And then here, it's all connected to toxins. And when I removed the heavy metals and toxins from my body started to heal, and I function optimally now, right? That's like kind of in like 30 seconds how it changed my life. Now let's move on to my daughter, because this is the most impactful story. We started using it with her because it is safe for children. And she said she started talking on day 5 of using, but on day 4, she said no. And I have a video of this amazing moment where I was just blown away. She was like, no, and shaking her finger at me and everything. And I was like, oh my God. And then on day 5, she said beans, green, blue, purple. She was just repeating me, and it was phenomenal. And it just really put in perspective. Number 1, I was right. Number 1, it was my intuition. I was right. But number 2, how polluted our children are. And on day 2 of using your drops, she passed parasites that I was not aware that she had. And so this blew the whole thing wide open for me. I was always in holistic health, but really changed my life and my family's life. And now it's funny because, in order to get a discount, right, you sign up for auto ship, and I was like, I'll just cancel. And I ended up buying a 3-pack that same month, and because I was terrified to ever run out. And as a mother, it makes me feel like I am the mother that I'm supposed to be. I'm protecting her. I'm doing what I should, keeping her body safe and healthy.
Yeah.
And now I have it in my arsenal. And guess what? I will always have that in my arsenal for damage control for our family because we're constantly exposed. So that's my story. And I'm committed to telling any mother, anybody who will listen to me on TikTok. And so for anyone who isn't familiar with zeolite, can you tell us how it works in the body?
I'm happy to. And first, thank you for taking the time to share such a personal story about you and Tim and your daughter. And I just appreciate it, right? People don't always realize what's going on in someone's home.
Yes.
And so to be able to touch a child's life in a positive way is just, it's fantastic. So thank you for that. So zeolites are basically a hardened mineral found in nature. Now, there are synthetics out there. We would never work with synthetics. The GRAS status or the safety status issued by the FDA is only to the naturally mined zeolite, and the zeolite type is called clinoptilolite. There are a variety of zeolite types out there, but for our discussion, what really matters here from a nutrition or a supplement standpoint is clinoptilolite zeolite. So we mine this very pristine environment here in the United States. It's Prop 65 compliant out of the ground, right? So it's a really good, rich source. And then we process it so that it's bioavailable to the body. The reason this is important is the way zeolites work, zeolites have a native or a natural negative charge in a cage. They have a cage-like structure. If you were to look at it, if people looked at it on our website, they can see a highly magnified version so they can see what it is, but really it's too small to sort of see the structural integrity of it with the naked eye. But if you get down to it, a zeolite's a crystal that holds these various cages, tunnels, channels, you might call it. Think almost like a really a dense Swiss cheese, right? Maybe that's one sort of visual people to have. And it has a negative charge inside this cage. And the reason this matters is when we talk about things like cadmium, lead, mercury, other heavy metals that are just in the atmosphere, right? It's in the air, the water, the ground. You really can't get away from it. You talked about children being toxic. If you look at children today being born, mothers are still passing through their cord blood DDT that's been banned since the 70s. It's very difficult to get rid of these forever chemicals or forever minerals and things like this. And so they're in our body. Well, those things have a positive charge. And so quite literally, when it comes into proximity with the zeolite, that negative and that positive will be attracted or bound to one another, like you think of with a magnet, like the north end and the south end of a magnet. And it's not just what happens within the cage. There's something referred to as a zeta effect, where there's a charge to the surface as well. So it's in the cage, then the external surface likewise can be attracted to and bind with toxins, almost like, think like a snowball in terms of how it gathers things. And so as this is moving through your body, it's coming in contact with these things, binding with them. And now here's the part that's really, I call it a miracle mineral. And I don't say that easily. I've been around supplements for 30 years, right? But your body doesn't have an affinity for zeolites. They are not an essential mineral. They won't remain in your system under any circumstances. So it's going to process out based upon renal and bowel function in about a 4 to 6 hour period of time. So it becomes this really elegant, simple way for a person to support how their body detoxes on a day in and day out basis. And that's really what we're looking to accomplish here, is take the existing body systems that we have. Some people's bodies are better at it than others, and support their processes with diet, lifestyle, exercise, but also with this product. And the result is, at the end of the day, you begin to get rid of these toxins from the body. Your own immune system, your body's own native abilities to repair, manage itself, confront disease, confront issues of illness, become enhanced because the body has a cleaner sort of runway to work off of, almost like tuning up or changing the oil in your car, right? You just aid the body's own abilities. And so it's just remarkable what we've seen.
Yes. Okay. And so I have a Telegram group full of thousands of mamas okay, who are
Sure.
doing this detox. And it's literally just changed my life. You know why? Because I get to witness these testimonials that come through almost every day of children talking. And I mean children who were nonverbal, children with ASD who are talking, and I get to see that and experience it like it was my own daughter again. And so for anybody who's watching and you're not a part of my Telegram, it's called The Intuitive Lifestyle. You can just search that group. Um, but for, we also see a lot of parasites being passed as well. And can you just kind of touch on that, why that would happen?
Yeah, so parasites are, they're insidious because they can sort of disguise themselves from your body's immune system, almost in the same way that cancer does. It really disguises itself so that the immune system, which is quite capable, if it recognizes a parasite or something like cancer, it's quite capable. You have these large macrophage and other components of your immune system to attack, deal with, destroy cancer cells or even something like a parasite, but they hide themselves. And so it's almost like the invisible cloak that we think of from Harry Potter or things like this, right? It's hiding in plain sight. When you use something like zeolite to improve sort of digestive function, gut function, bowel function, zeolites will help to alkalize the body, right? And parasites particularly thrive in acidic environments, people having leaky gut, all these sort of things with an unhealthy environment. Well, as soon as you do something that helps the body repair itself and improve the conditions in the gut, the body then begins to more easily recognize what's happening in terms of parasites. And so I refer to it as you make yourself an inhospitable host by improving the health of your gut flora, the human biome, if people are familiar with that terminology, helping to alkalize your gut, then you become, in your own quest or own improvement in health, your body's then native ability to see these things, drive them out of the system, become enhanced. And so that's most likely, right? I don't know each person's individual story, but this is what we see sort of day in and day out with comments from people. You're simply improving your condition so that your body becomes less likely to provide an environment for parasites to thrive, and a parasite doesn't want to be there, right? And so it's going to evacuate.
Yes, and heavy toxic loads are the perfect place for them to thrive and replicate and cause parasite infections, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Just like it would be, yeast infections are more likely to occur when a person doesn't have a good mix of flora, right? It's mostly unhealthy flora, a very acidic environment in the bowel. And so these things can thrive in these unhealthy environments. You improve the health condition of the body, of the digestive system, then these populations of parasites or bad flora, they're going to diminish.
Okay, fantastic. And I get this question a lot. Does zeolite take out any nutrients or minerals?
They do not. And so let me tell you where that statement is coming from. We know a lot about zeolites. I mean, we could go back 1,000+ years to clay eating societies and the role they played at helping people fight dysentery, right? So we know a lot about them, and they've been in the food supply or the food system in modern industrial economies for decades. And that's why the FDA grants it GRAS status. And so when you look at the research, there's nothing to suggest, and there's probably 300+ pieces published on PubMed on both humans and pets, that they have any disturbance or do anything to lower what I call the table levels of those healthy minerals or electrolytes in your body. They're very discerning. Now, they would hold, for example, when we prep ours to enhance its bioavailability, we prep it with a mix of calcium and some magnesium, right? And this is because that cage has to have something in it, right? The ionic exchange that's taking place, that cage has to have something inside it, but it doesn't really have an affinity for it. So in your body, as soon as it's ready to, or it sees something it wants, such as a lead or whatever happens to be, right? It's going to give up that calcium we put in there, but it's not enough to have a nutritional impact. And so there's just not this concern. That's one reason why zeolites have no contraindications. And so with great comfort, I give this product to my friends and family and know that it's supportive and not a negative in that regard.
Okay. Yep. Fantastic. And so many people, and I use that term, I don't know, I would like to say all people struggle with a heavy toxic load. Just living on, if you live on planet Earth, right? Because it's so toxic. Who can benefit from using this?
Well, as you just said, I mean, here's one of the dirty little secrets of the modern world, right? It's a chemical-based society.
Mhm.
You know, there's probably 100,000+ approximately man-made chemicals that are utilized to manufacture consumer products that we're in contact with constantly on a daily basis, you know, just kind of regardless of lifestyle. I mean, I guess you could make your way to the deep forest or the Himalayas or something to try to get away from it so that you're not dealing with man-made products, but you're still dealing with it from an air and a water supply standpoint. I mean, when Fukushima occurred and you had that radiation release years ago, that made its way from Japan to the United States, to Canada, eventually jet stream, it's all over the world. And when you grow foods, there's just no way to get away from the fact that there are toxins in the soil. One of the more interesting things we find ourselves dealing with these days, because our products, our fruit and vegetable products are all USDA organic, is now it isn't just these known toxins that you think about. We have to deal with plasticides, which are these micro-sized plastics that get in the soil and make their way up through the root system and into the plant material, the broccoli or things like this that you consume. And so it's just a constant exposure. You're not old enough for this, but in the 1970s, John Travolta starred in this after TV movie called The Boy in the Bubble. He had a compromised immune system. He lived in a bubble, and it was a silly little after school movie. But the illustration is that we can't live in a bubble, right? He couldn't live in a bubble. He wanted to get out of the bubble. And so it's just something that, in the same way you think about paying attention to your diet, managing stress, getting exercise, doing the things to have a healthy lifestyle, it used to be we only thought about micronutrient consumption, right? Eating a diet rich in fruits and vegetables, green leafy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, things of this kind. But now we can't just do that if we want to optimize health. We also have to think about the role of what we eat and other things we do to support how our body deals with toxins and detox, because in a modern world, this one we live in, it's playing a role in our risk of degenerative diseases such as cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease. People don't recognize or realize so much that when you take something like wildfires, which we're constantly now dealing with for so many reasons, when you breathe smoke from wildfires, not just what you breathe that's obvious, the emission of heavy metals and other things can make it such that your body, your blood, is more likely to oxidize things like cholesterol and other fats, and chances of a heart attack increase dramatically through those exposures. And so the bottom line is, it's unrealistic for the most part to think I can get away from this atmospherically or lifestyle wise. And so what I have to think about is, what can I do to optimize my body's ability to manage these things? And so I tell people, not just supplement with things like zeolites and other products that we have, but think about what you can do in terms of trying to have access to as clean a water as possible, trying to have access to as clean a food as possible, trying to have access to as clean a home or an environment as possible, right? It's not always easy. And as much as you can limit the amount of ultra processed food that a person consumes, and all of these things contribute to giving you best health chances.
Okay, yeah. Well, that was a fantastic way of describing that, and thank you. And I learned so much every day, even though I know just how toxic this world is. I mean, even if you eat beans out of a can, if you're, which I do, I eat my organic beans out of a can, and there's heavy metals, obviously, from the can. So, and then I heard you talk about another interview as well on if you're flying in airplanes, there's flame retardant, right? I mean, and also we're exposed to radiation as well. And PBX removes radiation. Doesn't zeolite have an affinity for?
Yes, and so there have been some studies, particularly on degraded radiation that's often found in what you would see in the battlefield, right? And so we know there's an impact associated with zeolites in that, but the bottom line across the board is anything with those negative charges and even certain size structures, almost like puzzle pieces, the zeolite has an affinity for. And so that can be radioactive material also. And so it's an area of research that continues, and more is needed to fully understand the full scope of what that can do. But you mentioned flame retardant material, right? And we all understand the safety. I fly a lot. I'm a couple million miler, and I don't necessarily wear that as a badge of strength. It's almost like a badge of, okay, that's something you had to do. And so my skin may not burn very easily, right? Because there's no way when you sit in a seat on the airplane, the material atomizes up, right? When the seat cushion goes down, when you rub against any surface, we don't want a plane to burn, right? So I get it, but it's just one of those things that forever chemical found in that flame retardant material will be with me for multi-generations, right? Long after my death, because they just don't fall off. So how do I manage that? And you're talking about substances that are angstrom in size by the time they get in your body and trap themselves inside your cells. And so there's a complication there. Now, the good news is the human body's quite capable, but the body burden, and this is something I want people to think about. Your body can do a lot of things. It's this marvelous, genius thing that it can do and serve, and it can do almost anything for about 50 years, and then it kind of catches up to us, right? You can support it and help it with choices that you make, and that's really where we're at, right? Because we want to not just live a long time, but we want to live with the most life possible, the most vitality possible, helping to manage those toxins. Things like flame retardant material is part of it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, that's why PBX is so important for me to reduce that toxic burden on myself, my family, and especially my child.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, I mean, I think that pretty much covers it. My next question would be, well, how long should we use it for? But I guess I would move into is it safe for daily use?
Yeah, it's safe for daily use. And I'll not only is that illustrated in the research, but just from a practical standpoint, I was first introduced to zeolites since in 2005. I've used it daily since. Everybody in my life, I mean, we just know that it is, and that's what has GRAS status from the FDA. And the way I think about it is, unlike, say, a colon cleanse or something that falls into a cleanse category, and you may have reasons that you want to do those on a one-off situation or periodically throughout the year, your exposure to these kinds of toxins, as we've been talking about, it's just constant, right? And so there's no zero sum. You know, you can't decide, you and Tim, to just detox this month and you're good for the year. You could have lowered that table level of toxins in your blood, in your body, but it doesn't mean you're not continuing to get re-exposed. It's just a reality of the modern life. We can't get away from it, as we've discussed. And so for me, it's in the same category of my health strategy with how I eat on a daily basis as best I can. I mean, I've got my cheat days during the holidays and things like that. But here, I just make that a part of my routine because I can't get away from it, right? I'm trying to optimize my health. I'm 58 years old, and I can tell you right now, it's work, right? To have the same energy and vitality that you once did. And I'm not sure it's the same, but you got to pay attention to these issues. And so in the same way you're thinking about micronutrients, detox, for me, it's just day in and day out. And the physicians we work with would echo the very same message I'm describing. Exposure is constant, it's daily. And so what are you doing to manage it?
Yeah. And you have quite a lot of physicians who actually back PBX and suggest it to all of their patients. I've met many of them, and including doctors who treat cancer, suggesting PBX. And you also work with famous influencers and doctors like Sherry Tenpenny and Charlie Ward. So this is big deal stuff. You know, you guys have a 10-year-old company and doing fantastic, and I'm so proud to be associated with you. So why don't we move on to our new products, which I have been so excited for this. We've all been on the edge of our seats for a very long time, and so we're talking about the fulvic acid, and it actually is available today, and we'll talk about that after for certain people. But I just wanted to get into a story really quick about me using fulvic acid. So fulvic has been this new up and coming supplement. Okay, I didn't know about it until I think like a year ago. Okay, when a new company came out. All right, so I was not unaware. I was unaware of it, what it did, why we actually needed fulvic acid, and how beneficial it was for our bodies. So I ended up buying this product, and it came in a black bag, and it was about $100, and it was a powder, and it was fulvic and humaic, and looking back on it now, the serving size was completely, I guess, ridiculous. Okay, and looking back on it now, and the information that I know now about it, and that company was actually taken off of the shelves because of it, its toxicity. But I remember making videos on TikTok, and I still have those videos, and I do plan on posting them, where I have a crooked smile, and I've never had a crooked smile. Okay, so when I'm talking, my one mouth, side of my mouth is going off to the side, and I'm like, that's really weird. And come to find out, that's actually heavy metal toxicity. And so that's what I was going through while taking that product, unaware. So, and just doing the directions on a health supplement, right? So that would lead me into, if for anybody who is not aware of fulvic, I want you to please explain to them what it is and why it's so beneficial for our bodies, and probably why I'm so excited, because I trust you and your company for safety. So yeah. So what is fulvic?
So fulvic isn't a new subject matter. Fulvic, for people that don't know what it is, it's essentially plant material that's been distilled, and it's what it makes up the soil. It's in the soil, particularly if you're dealing with rich, dark, rich soils, topsoils, things of that kind. And it used to be, particularly with root vegetables, we had a lot of fulvic in our diet because of the uptake from that plant material into the fruit or vegetable that we're eating. Of course, in today's world, population size, farming practices, conventional farming, things of this kind, you just don't see fulvic and/or, frankly, even the same nutrient levels in fruits and vegetables today, particularly those that are conventionally grown, that you found 30, 40, 50 years ago. And so the mineral rich nature of fulvic and that benefit to the body is really absent, right? It's not there in the way that it used to be. And so fulvic as a supplement to the diet, right, has become popular. The challenge is that fulvic on its own, if you're not paying attention to both the source and what you're working with, it can actually be toxic. In the same way that it's got trace minerals that are beneficial to your body, it can have heavy metals. And so I don't usually call other companies irresponsible, but the truth of the matter is, in the fulvic space, there's a lot of irresponsibility taking place in what I call sort of a profit grab that people are trying to put together, both in how they price gouge, which is pretty common, but even in the amounts they tell people to take and how they tell them to use it, which don't make sense, right? If you sort of look for science to support your statements. And the other side of this is you often see fulvic combined with humic. Our challenge with that is most of the humic that's available out there that we see, and we're in 60 some countries, right? We have a strong access to things that are out there. Its heavy metal content is so high, there's not a comfortable recommendation of use that I would put forth to my family and or our customers or anybody else associated with our company. And so we made the decision a couple of years ago when we were looking to enter the fulvic arena. We felt like, now is the time, so to speak, to look for a source where we could have a humic-free product, and have a fulvic product that's coming from a protected environment. Ours is coming from a protected environment. Actually, the fulvic itself is organic qualified, so that we could, with good measure, look at what we've got, look at what its contents are, look at benefits, and is it doing the things it's supposed to do? And so that's exactly what we have. Is we have a product with what we believe is the right amount of fulvic, 50 milligrams per dose in liquid form, because it's more bioavailable, 1 dose per day. And we've mixed it with plant-based trace minerals. When we talk about the modern diet, right, particularly that SAD diet, right, the standard American diet, which is really, you could extend that to see the developed part of the world diet, so much ultra-processed food, trace minerals along with other nutrients, they're just missing. It's just commonly missing from people's diets. And so we have sourced from, again, another organic source, seaweed, to be a source of plant-based trace minerals. And the reason we do that is the way plants take minerals out of their environment and process them into their being, into the plant itself, they are essentially chelated, which aids the body's ability to absorb. And so when we combine the fulvic with the seaweed, and then the last thing we do is we put our zeolite product in there as well, because what we want to really address in complete form is the health of your gut, which is the source of strength for your immune system. And people don't realize also your mood. Over half of your serotonin is coming out of your gut. If you've got leaky gut syndrome or other gut problems, if you're constantly using antacids or other things that compromise or illustrate a compromised gut, you could have a bad mood. It's going to affect your metabolism. It's going to affect your immune system. So we really are quite careful and take it sacred to take care of the gut, because that's such a source of vitality and health and just how your body operates. It's kind of your internal pharmacy. And so this is essentially Fulvic Mineral Plus is the name of the product. We had a pre-launch this morning at 8 a.m. And that's for our existing customers and VBO. And that product is 3 products in one, highly competitive. Compared to our competition, responsibly developed. People will be able to see transparently forward facing all the C of A's and information they need to make good decisions as consumers. And it's very simple to use. It's kind of the color of coffee, weak coffee, I would say. You could put it in your coffee, you could put it in your water, sort of whatever you want to do. It doesn't have much of a flavor at all, so it would adopt really the flavor or become neutral based upon what you do with it. But it's going to be a way for people not just to detox, which we currently do with our Pure Body Regular and our Pure Body Extra Strength. It's going to be a way to also then add nutrients to the body. And so you can replenish the nutrients that are missing from the diet, which is going to have a positive impact sort of across the board with your system. The micronutrient absorption then is enhanced, right? The healthier your gut, the more nutrients it draws from the foods that you do consume that are healthy. And so it's a very powerful combination. And for those that are currently using our Pure Body Regular, they may choose to just use the Fulvic Mineral Plus to serve that interest they have, but then combining that with our Pure Body Extra, now there's a cellular detox happening at the same time. Very, very powerful combination. And as much as we've impacted people's lives in such a profound way to date, I think we're going to see an even more amplification of what people tell us about what's happening for them with this product.
Oh, I know it. I know that that's true. This is essentially, miracles will happen when you get the right fulvic. It is something that's missing from our diets. Our bodies need it. And one of the biggest secrets I believe that is kept from society is that once you give your body everything it needs, it will heal itself.
You bet.
It will heal. And I mean that in a few different ways, so, all right. And I'm also almost coming to tears when I think about, our children and the nutrients that are missing from their diets, and our children are very picky, but also the moods and the tantrums and the things that are coming from nutrient deficiencies. And disease comes from either heavy toxic load or nutrient deficiency. And I will stand firm on that. Anybody who wants to tell me different, unless it's obviously genetic or, something like that. But so it is safe for children. Obviously, it's a fulvic. It's supposed to be in our food, but I'm so excited to be able to offer that to my daughter, so her body can function optimally and, continue with the detox. I cannot believe, I'm just really excited to see how this changes our lives and the lives of our children. So it is safe for children, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Hear it from you, for my followers.
Yeah, absolutely. In the same way that how the FDA and others govern and look at something like a zeolite, fulvic doesn't have any published contraindications, and we just know a lot about it, and we're up to date in the literature. And so for what we know today, it's safe just across the board. We ask people with kids to just make sure they pay attention to their body weight and their age and adjust accordingly. If they have any concerns or skepticism, speak to a medical professional or a physician, someone that they know and trust. But the bottom line is unless you're on a medication or have a disease state where your tending doctor has said to you, hey, you don't need to have minerals, then this is a good product, right? And there are people that have sort of extreme circumstances, like some people are told not to eat greens because of drug interactions, right? So this is a mineral supplement. And so as long as that's a green light for you, which really, I can't imagine a very modest percentage of the population that might not be, this is something you should be having in your diet regardless.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, fantastic. So everybody is able to purchase the Fulvic today if you are an existing customer or a VBO, which is a virtual business owner. So if somebody wanted to get involved with your company and making a business out of this, especially with this Fulvic, I foresee so many people's lives changing and them want, just like me, wanting to share what healed me and my child with other people. So if somebody was interested in that and they're already a customer, how much would it be for them to start the virtual business owners?
Yeah, we've tried to make it very simple. It's $19.95. And that's really a turnkey opportunity. And the reason it's that way is we believe in access. At the end of the day, it's what you do with it yourself, right? It's not what you paid. And so we want to make sure the business is affordable, and there's a whole suite and host of tools. I mean, really, what's required if they want to do something with the business is just that they're genuine and sincerely advocates of the products in whatever way they are. Not everybody has the wherewithal to be a TikTok star influencer like yourself. But even if it's just a passion you have for helping your family or a neighbor, then that's all you do. It's going to meet you where you are. You don't have to be an expert on this stuff. We have experts, and they've compiled all kinds of material and things that you can share. And so I'm a big believer in our model and what we do because of access, which I think is really critical in today's world. People have just access to opportunity at some level. It's not discerning on education or technical background or things like that. And so it's very simple. And I wouldn't be shy. I won't be shy, I should say. And inviting people to join us because it's easy and it's a good way to support the health of your community.
Well, we need it so bad, and I'm not shy when it comes to what we need is to support our bodies, and people know that if they know me. I stand up for what I believe in, and I'm not shy. So I want to thank you so much for your time today. I am just so happy, and this company has changed my life and the lives of so many others. And I just wanted to put this out there, and I'm already tearing up, but the amount of children who I've reached with my TikTok, and we're in the millions, okay, who have either seen my video or have gotten your product to detox their children or support the detoxing process. If you put them all in a room and then spiderweb it to the families, all of their family members that has affected, that their child can now speak when they may not have been able to, just thinking about that for 1 second. And that's what keeps me going every single day. So I want to thank you so much for being here, for all of your research and all of the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into your company, and making it available for people like me to share with other people, and anybody who would like to share the healing process with the people that they love as well. And guys, I'm going to put all of my information in this video, my TikTok handle, my Telegram group, and please feel free to personally message me. Tim knows in the morning I'm on my phone, I'm doing voice record on all of my Instagram, and I'm talking about MTHFR and get your child tested for MTHFR and all this stuff. And so that's what I do. So personally message me. That's what I like. I want to help you. So Eddie, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jamie. My pleasure.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.